Asia Wilson doing what she just did, there's no coming back for. She should be fined, barred, suspended, something. Because the level of assault Caitlin Clark took, there's no coming back from that.
You won't believe what we just learned about Aja Wilson's shoe deal situation.
At the time, I did a little short that wound up getting 1 million views, basically on every platform, as to why Caitlin Clark was the one who got this big, massive Nike deal. But at the same time, there was backlash because Aja Wilson did not have a Nike deal. And people were like, how did Caitlin come in and get it? And Aja is great. Blah. And in a lot of ways, that was a preview for some of the dumbass discourse that was to come.
So here's the thing. For months, we've been watching this whole controversy play out with Caitlin Clark's Nike deal, right? Wilson's fans were all over social media saying how unfair it was that Clark was getting her own shoe, while the league MVP seemingly got passed over. It was pretty intense stuff. But wait for the plot twist. Wilson just revealed she's actually had her own Nike deal locked in for 2 years.
What Asia Wilson just did was unprecedented. I mean, on so many levels. She's arguably, allegedly, the reason Caitlin Clark was assaulted the entire 2024 basketball season.
Yeah, you heard that right. The whole time her supporters were criticizing Clark and Nike, Wilson knew she had her own signature shoe in the works. Pretty interesting how she chose to handle that, isn't it? She stuck to her so-called positive vibes brand and stayed quiet, watching from the sidelines while Clark dealt with all that unnecessary heat. I mean, one word from Wilson could have shut down the whole controversy.
If Asia couldn't talk about the shoe, she couldn't talk about the shoe. That's fine, and that's understandable, right? Like that's understandable. But there was also a way to do it that didn't make it seem, because if I'm reading that, I'm thinking she's saying, yeah, you guys got me, but it's coming, right? Like, you know, we'll get there eventually.
Meanwhile, Clark just kept her head down, stayed focused on her game, and handled all the criticism with total class. This really makes you think about authenticity versus image, doesn't it?
I wouldn't want Asia Wilson on my team, or maybe I should turn it around. Since she's Asia Wilson, I wouldn't want to be on Asia Wilson's.
It's very interesting for the rest of us to find out that Aja Wilson was sitting pretty, all this while knowing her signature shoe was in the works. For a whole 2 years, her signature shoe was being designed, perfected, and lined up for release. She had her moment guaranteed, her bag secured, but still let everyone think Nike had done her dirty by choosing Caitlin Clark first. That's not just staying unbothered, guys. That's playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers.
We got Asia Wilson talking about, oh, I've been waiting 2 years for this. Wait, 2 years for this? 2 years for this. 2025, 2023. CC's announced in 2024. Delayed, not denied in 2024. Backlash all 2024.
Let's be real here. Aja let Caitlin become the bad guy so she could collect all that sympathy. We're talking about letting a rookie take hit after hit online while she just watched it all go down. And for what? Some extra clicks? To keep her fans fired up? Because trust me, Wilson's fans have been coming for Caitlin since day one of her WNBA journey. And this shoe drama, that was their perfect excuse.
Don't be mad at Caitlin Clark. She's getting $28 million. Don't they want sisters to get paid, or they don't want a white girl to get paid first? I think that's what it is.
But now that the truth's out there, funny how all those loud voices have suddenly gone quiet, right? Turns out the real disrespect wasn't coming from Nike at all. Instead, it was coming from Aja and everyone who let this false narrative spiral out of control. While Caitlin was just trying to grow the game, Aja was letting everyone think she was somehow the victim here.
Where the hell do we go from here? What Asia Wilson just did was completely unhinged. You knew for 2 years that you had a signature shoe coming out, but yet and still, you played a fake damn agenda about Caitlin Clark getting a $28 million deal, which we still haven't heard the ramifications of your actual deal. At least I haven't heard, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people, we don't know how much money Asia Wilson got.
One tweet. That's all it would have taken. Just a quick, hey, don't worry, my shoe's coming too. And boom, the drama would have been over. But nope, she let it build. She watched Caitlin's name get dragged like she was some kind of villain stealing opportunities.
But 2 years. A 2-year lie.
And now that the truth's out, all those same people who were screaming about unfairness are trying to backtrack real quick. But here's the thing. As we mentioned earlier, this goes way deeper than just shoes. Look at how Caitlyn's been treated since she entered the WNBA. It's like she walked in with a target on her back from day one. Instead of celebrating what she brings to the game, people resented her. Why? Because she brought millions of new eyes to the sport? Because she got people interested in women's basketball who never gave it a chance before? Because Nike saw her star power and said, this is where the future's heading?
If you think A'ja Wilson's the best player in the world, that's perfectly fine. That's your opinion. But we all know who has the most impact in the sport. And she's playing in Indiana. She wears number 22 for the Indiana.
Let's set the record straight. Caitlyn didn't steal anybody's spotlight. She didn't game the system. She earned that shoe deal the same way she earned her place in the league, by being that good, period.
You're nearly 30 years old. Knowingly sending an angry mob towards a 22-year-old player is awful.
But here's the wild thing. We all know if the tables were turned, if Caitlyn's fans were coming at A'ja like that, it would be headlines everywhere. From think pieces, ESPN segments, Twitter wars, the whole 9 yards. But when it's Caitlyn, crickets. Absolute crickets. And let's not even get started on Nike's mixed messages. They dropped this amazing Super Bowl campaign celebrating women athletes. Great, right? Then the very next day, they put out another commercial, and somehow Caitlyn Clark isn't in it.
Nike. Oh my God. Nike. Folks, sometimes it's just unbelievable.
They tried to cover it up with this last-minute voiceover like we wouldn't notice. But come on, we're not blind. That wasn't some accident. That was a choice. That was Nike saying, hey, we love her money, but let's keep her out of the picture.
Okay, Nike, what the are you thinking?
Just go and listen to that re-recorded audio if you haven't yet. The change is so obvious.
A lot of people think that they added a voiceover. From my experience in editing, I have used this many times with other things. They actually changed it with AI.
Like, how does this even happen? We're talking about someone who's literally changed the game. The most talked about female athlete in America. Someone whose games are pulling NBA level numbers. So why is she getting sidelined? The answer's pretty clear. The veterans, the old guard, they're not exactly rolling out the welcome mat. They're happy to cash in on her success. But when it comes to actually having her back, nah. They're not celebrating Caitlyn Clark. They're barely tolerating her. They'll use her success to boost their numbers. But where are they when she's getting attacked? They treat her like she's some outsider who got lucky, not someone who's earned every single bit of her success. That's not a great look for Nike, is it? Makes you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes at Nike, doesn't it? But before we continue, kindly like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Now back to our story. Caitlyn Clark isn't the one taking the biggest hit here. In fact, she can handle the pressure. The real damage is to the WNBA itself. You can't treat your biggest star like a problem and expect the league to grow. Every cold shoulder, every unnecessary controversy, every subtle attempt to downplay her impact. It all makes the league look small, insecure, and out of touch with what's happening right in front of them. The numbers speak for themselves. Ticket sales, TV ratings, packed arenas. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a star, she's a phenomenon. And yet, instead of embracing that, some people seem more interested in tearing her down. And now, A'ja Wilson gets her signature shoe. It's a huge moment, well-earned, and something to celebrate. But let's not ignore how this whole situation unfolded. Months of unnecessary drama, constant shots at Caitlyn, and people twisting narratives just to push their own agenda. It revealed something ugly. For all the talk about growing the game, some in this league are more concerned with protecting their pride than actually moving the sport forward. Then there's Cheryl Swoops, front and center, hyping up A'ja's moment like it's the biggest thing to ever happen to the WNBA.
I didn't text A'ja. I didn't call A'ja. I'm talking like you're not here right now.
Don't get me wrong, A'ja Wilson deserves her shine, but the hypocrisy is impossible to ignore. When Caitlyn is dominating, Swoops finds a way to downplay it. When A'ja is winning, suddenly it's all love and celebration. It's the same tired story. Clark's success is called favoritism, while Wilson's is labeled hard work. At the end of the day, nobody's denying A'ja's greatness. She's an MVP, a champion, and a leader. But the way this league and some of its biggest voices pick and choose when to uplift a player, that's the real problem. Please, make it make sense. Now let's talk about the Aces' so-called dynasty. Well, it's about to collapse now. Kelsey Plum got shipped to LA and didn't waste any time throwing shade on her way out. Chelsea Gray, on the other hand, hasn't been the same since her injury. And let's not forget, Sydney Colson, who is the heart of that locker room, is now with the Fever. Meanwhile, while A'ja's fans are busy pointing fingers at Indiana for every little thing, the Fever Fever are out here quietly stacking a championship caliber squad. They have Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, Danielle Robinson, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, and a front office that's been making all the right moves. The truth is this: the WNBA is shifting, and the vets can feel it. Caitlin Clark isn't just the future, but also the now. That's why she's on billboards. That's why ticket prices are through the roof. That's why TV networks are scrambling to lock in broadcasting rights. And the league has two choices: get on board or get left behind. Let's continue the discussion in the comments. What do you think? Share your thoughts with us. Thanks for watching.